Hello guys, welcome back to my channel Elite Wrestling World. I am your host GhostSaad. Thank you guys for joining me right here for AEW Dynamite post show review. So this is the Fallout show after Redemption pay-per-view this Sunday. The card is stacked for tonight. Andrade defending his newly won national title against Jack Perry and Nick Wayne. We will hear from Kenny Omega. We will hear also from the new women's champion Willow Nightingale as well. Also, Demand versus Conglomeration for the trios titles is announced for tonight. We have a sit down for the tag title match at All In, Copeland Cage and the Bucks with Renee. So plenty to look forward. Let's get dive into it and talk about that. So Dynamite starts off with Excalibur welcoming us. We saw the footage of Death Riders pissed off regrouping backstage after what happened at the main event of Redemption. Moxley screaming for Ospreay to strike Omega before he does first, and we then see Omega lays out Ospreay with one-winged angel as well. Moxley said that took 3 minutes. Moxley has been trying to tell Ospreay for months that Omega is not his friend. And now Ospreay might be the best wrestler in the world with nothing to lose, truly on that ground, what he did on Sunday. And Renee is backstage approaching Ospreay, power walking into the arena. Death Riders are waiting for Ospreay. Moxley walks up. Garcia goes to break the tension but gets baffled with the hidden blade. Moxley hold back and asks if Ospreay is sure he wants to do that. And Ospreay said Moxley doesn't get to put the trigger for him and gives back the Death Rider's patch saying he's out. Moxley says it looks like he has it all figured out as they all step aside with Moxley helping up Garcia. So that was the tension between Ospreay and the Death Riders. Renee walks back in to get a word, but Hangman Adam Page appears with a loud cheer from the crowd, saying he knows what it's like to be in Ospreay's shoes, thinking he has to do this alone, but it's not what this roster let him do last year. Page said world title isn't something he focused on anymore and offers help if Ospreay wants it. Ospreay says the United Empire boys hate him, he can't trust Kenny, so he can't trust Page. And Ospreay goes to leave, but Page tells him he is one of the best in the world. Ospreay just needs to know it as he will go to Wembley the best he's ever been or he's going to die, which Page said he's kidding. He knows Ospreay has this, and Ospreay thanks him and walks away. So that was an intense start of Dynamite with Page giving Ospreay his endorsement, and Hangman is back on TV as well. Death Riders are out of this sight of Will Ospreay, and it's gonna be a fantastic all-in main event build from here on out. First action of the night is Andrade defending the national title against Jack Perry and Nick Wayne. What a sprint this was. All three got a plenty of offense and had the Detroit crowd locked in from the opening bell. Andrade is crazy over right now and commentary talking about the Casino Gauntlet match, and Andrade would make a perfect sense to earn his world title shot. Meanwhile, Perry and Wayne have been working together in matches lately, so the chemistry between them is also very good. Wayne hit the Phoenix Splash, Perry leapt in with the sacrifice knee. Wayne got a schoolboy on Andrade with his feet on the ropes for a 2 count as both popped up and Andrade hit the DM on Nick Wayne to get the pinfall victory. So again, a very good first title defense for Andrade. Post-match, we saw Shivani got in the ring and asked Andrade how he is feeling. He screwed MJF, he screwed Callis, and says he will be the best national champion ever. And Shivani talking about the Casino Gauntlet match at All In. Next week is gonna be a number 1 position match, and Andrade is gonna be interested in that as well. So Andrade said, "How you know?" So again, they are hyping up the number 1 position match for the Casino Gauntlet at All In. And I think so Andrade is going to be involved in that match as well for GrandSlam Mexico next week on Dynamite. Interesting to see who his opponent is going to be. The Brawling Birds are backstage, says Divine Dominion talk too much, both are undefeated and champs have been avoiding them for too long. They issue a challenge to any of the 3 members of the Minions and to face them on Collision. So Alex Windsor says whenever they say Megan Bayne and Lina Cross, it's time to brawl. So obviously the direction is gonna be Brawling Birds versus the Divine Dominion for the women's tag titles at All In. I think so. It's gonna be a fantastic match for the All In card. Renee's backstage with Callis' family. Fletcher talking about not losing the international title at Redemption, unlike other family members. Looking at Kevin Knight, Callis said they took some L's, but Mark Davis is angrier than he's ever seen him and can't wait to see what he does next. Knight said he will appreciate the little things and mentions Mystico while saying Fletcher could be in trouble with Speedball at GrandSlam Mexico. Fletcher said international title will never leave the family. Okada walks in saying he's right. The title will never leaves the family before leaving. So there is the tension between Okada and Fletcher over the international title. I still think so. The three-way between Okada, Fletcher and Takeshita is pretty much happening at All In. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens between Fletcher and Okada in the coming weeks. Next up is the Callis family versus Speedball and Brodido, the party match of the night that really kicked into the next gear. It's not a surprise that Billy got the win heading into next week's rubber match with Fletcher for the international title at Grand Slam Mexico. I hope Brodido lead back to the tag team ranks. They've been incredible in the last month or so. Fletcher slid outside. Bailey connected with the huge springboard moonsault. Back inside, Bandido got Doyle in position for the 21 plex. Doyle swatted him before takeoff. Bailey made a blind tag and hit an ultimo weapon right as Doyle went to powerbomb Bandido. Bailey followed it up with the flash pin, stunning Doyle and especially Fletcher, and getting the pinfall victory and standing tall before the international title match against Kyle Fletcher at Grand Slam Mexico next week. It's gonna be a fantastic match next week. Next up is the sit down between Copeland and the Bucks. Renee is excited to finally say the Copeland versus Bucks is happening at All In. Bucks said Copeland revolutionized tag team wrestling. Copeland said the Bucks also just did that. He said it and says for far too long tag team wrestling has been shoved to the side, but teams like both of them and FTR have made sure that's not the case. And Cage said with all sincerity they didn't come back to do a retirement tour. They are here to prove they are the best tag team of their generation and the Bucks generation. Also saying he's glad their wives are coming to Wembley. So Matt said they are on their second leg of their careers while the Bucks are still on their first. As they win both titles, they will be the most decorated tag team in AEW history. The fourth time tag champions if they win at All In. Matt said they are legends who have been done it all, but nothing will stop them from winning those titles. And Cage will be lucky to get on the board at Wembley. Cage said it sounds like the Bucks are trying to talk themselves into it, as a lot will change when the music fades and the Bucks stand across the ring from their heroes. Cage isn't downplaying the Bucks' career, and to be the greatest, they have to beat them in London. Renee asks why this would mean so much to Copeland Cage, as Copeland says despite everything they have done, they are still doubt. Matt said there's always a chip on their shoulder, always told they are too tiny, too small, don't have the machine behind them. Copeland Cage might be bigger, but they are the young Bucks. This was a shockingly civil sit down from both teams and rather refreshing. It didn't end in an assault fest or brawl. I really like the sit down between these two teams. It's gonna be a fantastic match at All In. The tag team classic between Copeland and Bucks will happen at All In Wembley Stadium. Next up is Maya World versus Persephone for the TBS title that Maya won at Redemption. Really enjoyed this match, and both ladies looks fantastic. We saw Persephone picked an ankle into a roll-up for the stalemate to start off the match. We saw Shida run in, throwing the kendo stick to Persephone before distracting referee Aubrey Edwards. In the meanwhile, Chris Statlander appeared and took it from her and Persephone walked back into the bridging fall-away slam from Maya World to retain the title. So that feud is now in the full swing between Statlander and Persephone. Post-match, we saw Statlander raises Maya World's hand and held the kendo stick as well. Persephone was furious on that as well. So will really like to see the match between Statlander and Persephone. That could happen maybe at GrandSlam Mexico next week. Mark Davis is backstage, furious, saying he's going to do something about it and calls out Will Ospreay. The only reason Ospreay beat him last time was due to Death Rider's interference. So he issues a challenge to Ospreay at GrandSlam Mexico next week without the Callis family vowing to leave him broken. So it's going to be interesting match between Ospreay and Davis now that Death Riders are not behind Ospreay. We will see what happens next week. Next up is Willow Nightingale Women's Title Celebration. Renee introduces the new AEW Women's Champion. We get the pyro, huge steamers. Standing ovation for Willow, who is left in tears of joy, saying this is still unreal. This is what people dream about and is grateful they have been with her despite there being doubters along the way. This past year she became one half of the first women's tag champions, beat Mercedes for the TBS title, got hurt, got back, wins the Casino Gauntlet and wins the women's title. That is a crazy sprint for her. While she loves the love, if life has kicked you around, don't you dare give up, keep fighting. And that was very emotional from Willow. We saw Mercedes music hits and she walks out. Monet said she didn't come out to ruin her celebration and demands Nightingale signs the contract for All In. Willow signs it on the chest of Monet, who shoves it in Nightingale's face as Renee announces it's official. Monet says she hates the most about Willow isn't her stupid smile. The fans adore her. It's that every milestone her name is written on Monet's story. Willow is holding the one thing Monet is destined to hold, and she says she will end Willow fairy tale at All In. She would be nothing without Monet. She demands Willow admit that Monet made and elevated her. She will take that title and smile off her face. So both ladies get into each other's face until Divine Dominion appears and Monet chop blocks Nightingale. Cross and Bane lays out Willow with double clothesline. We saw Brawling Birds hit the ring and makes the save. So then later in the night we get the confirmation of Women's Trios match. It's gonna be Mercedes and Divine Dominion versus Willow and Brawling Birds at GrandSlam Mexico next week. So it's gonna be a fantastic match next week on GrandSlam Mexico. Next up is the Continental title match, Jon Moxley versus Komander. This was a fun match. Jon Moxley always have good matches in the Continental title defense. Komander always fantastic in the ring. So the match started with diving arm drag from the top, connects by Komander. Moxley is right up and cracked Komander with a loud chop. Komander went for the rope walk, shooting star press. Moxley moved, hit a curb stop and the Death Rider and sinking in the rear naked choke. And Komander passes out and Moxley retains that title. So again a very good victory for Jon Moxley, retaining the title. Mick Foley is backstage with Bang Bang Gang and there is no Switchblade. Jay White, hopefully he's alright. Ace Austin said they have big problems. Colton says they have been screwed by the Dogs and Death Riders. So they challenge to the 8-man tag match towards Death Riders and it's gonna happen on Collision. So it's gonna be a fun match for Collision. Next up is the Conglomeration versus Demand for the Trios titles. We saw Demand attacked before the bell. O'Reilly dodged a pounce from Liona, who ran into the steps. Ricochet flew off the stage into a somersault dive onto the pile. Cassidy going to the pockets. Liona picked him up over his head. Cassidy wiggled free into the drop kick. We saw Liona steamrolled both Strong and O'Reilly. Cassidy made the blind tag. Tried orange punch but Liona no sold and Cassidy sold his fist like it was broke. O'Reilly came in to sandwich him with strikes. Cassidy hit orange punch. But we saw Lethal Twist rush to the ring. Blake Christian hit a springboard belt shot to Cassidy. Ricochet followed with the Spirit Gun to get the pinfall victory. And we get the new Trios champions, The Demand, fittingly winning the Trios titles. It was a fantastic match, and I think so it's a great result. Demand winning the Trios titles, much deserved for the trio, and they were fantastic in the match. So new Trios champs, The Demand. Post-match, we saw Demand and Lethal Twist put boots to the Conglomeration until we saw Brody King rush to the ring. Hangman Adam Page makes the save, and we get a stare down between Brodido and Hangman and The Demand. So we might get to see the trios match between these two teams as well in the future. We hear from Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay. Tony Schiavone is in the ring, introduces Omega, who gets a huge reaction. Omega shakes Tony's hand, and he got out about 2 words before Will Ospreay music hits and he heads to the ring. Omega said it's fine, cut the music. What needs to be said doesn't need to be heard by the fans, but just to Ospreay. At Redemption, Omega showed Ospreay how he felt, and it didn't matter if the fans in the moment misunderstood. He thought Ospreay would get it. Omega put friendship before the belt 100% of the time. Let's face it, the whole reason Omega let Ospreay enter the Owen tournament is to see him have success on his own. But how did he repay Omega? With his voice laced in disappointment. He told Omega it really sucks. He gave up on himself. Ospreay has no idea how deep these words cut. But does it look like Omega gave up, hold up the world title to loud Kenny chants? Ospreay will never be one to talk down to Omega again, and even though he gave him plenty of warning about Death Riders, what's his excuse now? It blew it up in his face. So Ospreay came back too early from neck surgery because all he came back for was revenge. And when he finally got there, it slipped through his fingers, and when he lost that match against Moxley, he felt like he lost so much. Ospreay saw that moment and didn't look at the guy who broke his neck, but a former 4-time world champion. If Omega wants honesty, Ospreay liked being a Death Rider. He liked the camaraderie, the training. When Ospreay saw Omega with the chair around his neck, he couldn't stand by to see someone he loves go through what he went through. Omega says he remembers after defending the title at Redemption, he got beat up for minutes. His eyes was closed and he accepts his fate, but when he heard the cheers and energy, somehow Omega knew that Ospreay was there to save him. But when the minutes felt like an eternity, he took the chair off himself, stood up and saw the plastic bag in Ospreay's feet and his world title in Ospreay's hand. Ospreay said he was his friend. Omega asked what he is to him now. Omega keeps slapping Ospreay, telling him he's always be a step behind him as he threw one more slap, and Ospreay returned the favor, teasing Hidden Blade as Omega backed off. Ospreay said no matter how much he loves Omega, if he puts his hand on him, he will kick the shit out of him. Standing before him is the biggest mountain he's been waiting to climb for 10 years. The ace wants the ball. Ospreay wants the ball. 90 minutes are done. Extra time is done. They are into the penalties. Ospreay has an entire country depending on him to bring the world title home. You are damn right I can pull the trigger, but won't do it from behind like Omega did or Moxley wanted. No excuses. The best versus the best. He's pulling the trigger when it matters the most, when the title is on the line, when Omega sees it coming. And this was the last words that Ospreay said. Omega started the segment with the fans loudly behind him, but Ospreay cut one whole of a promo to bring it home and got the crowd to end the show. It's gonna be a classic in the main event of All In. Pretty much looking forward to that match as well. Also looking forward to the build up towards the match as well in the coming weeks, how Moxley is gonna factor in the dissension of these two as well. So fantastic show of Dynamite. Next week is GrandSlam Mexico, which is gonna be another fantastic show as well. So that's the end of the show, folks. Please guys, like and share this video, subscribe to my channel, and keep watching Elite Wrestling World.